All right, welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick for this week's trading recap from February 16th to the 19th. As you can see, we had a relatively large losing week, down $956, down 2% on the week. Only large winner to really share is UAVS, up 21.4%, Blink about 6%. But this is one of those weeks where I get to really be fully transparent, show you what I did well, show you what I did wrong. Not so much what I did wrong this week. The market, growth market especially, was shaky, but full transparency with my channel as always. So if you learned anything from this video, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on StockTwits, Twitter, and TikTok. If you're here for a specific stock, the timestamps for those will be in the comment section below. So last week, I reached out to a couple people to see what I could be doing better with these trading recaps. And after a lot of great comments, hopefully I've changed this up to provide the most value for you guys and to keep this video a little bit shorter. So I'm still going to go over the market, TikTok, and some of the watch list reviews, but I'm going to do those really quick, not really dive deep into any of the charts, and spend more time on my open positions and past trades, really drilling into why did I buy here, what made me sell, where's my stop placement, stuff like that, that you guys actually get value from. So thank you for reaching out, providing that those improvement tips. And if you see something that you think I can improve on in this video, leave those in the comments because I'm always trying to get better for you guys. Quick disclaimer, anything that I talk about is not stock or financial advice. Trading comes with financial risk. Please do your own due diligence while trading. This is for educational purposes only. So quick market recap, kind of a sideways down week. It was a shortened trading week. Friday or Monday was off for President's Day. So you can see S&P down about a little over 0.5%. The Qs down 1.6%. Dow Jones is flat, and FFTY, that IBD top 50, which most closely correlates with my performance, was down 0.6%. We did get some large EV sell-offs, so BLNK, Plug, NEO, a lot of those renewable energy stocks saw pretty weak weeks. So when the market's trading sideways or pulling back, I'm in full defense mode. So half size positions, only increasing my overall exposure if I have some profits to do so, and move quicker stop placements to break even. So one thing that you guys called for was to use stockcharts.com for a better way to document all the charts. So really quickly, we'll just be going over the S&P 500. You can see here was Tuesday. We gapped up and then pulled back the rest of the week. I hate gap ups to start the week because you go through the weekend, have your breakout watch list that you watch on Sunday morning that I'll be putting out tomorrow, and things just gap up over the buy price, and I never chase gap ups. So the fact that we got another gap up on Tuesday, that was not great for the trading strategy, but that just kind of sold off there. The other one I wanted to go to was FFTY. This is the IBD top 50. Here you can see we get really gapped up on Tuesday, sold off aggressively to the 8-day exponential moving average, and then had a nice bounce on Friday. So just because things get extended doesn't mean they can't continue to extend, but as they extend with kind of away from the previous pullback or a base, you want to be quicker with taking profits, quicker with protecting your entries with stops, and not try to do too much. So just going to leave that as the market recap. We're going to be kind of going through this quick. So TikTok Trading Challenge. This week was really tough for the TikTok account, down 5.24%, and now only up around 6% on the year, while I was down 2%, up 18.4% on the year. So I have about a 12% 12% lead on that account. Remember, all the money I make on TikTok, I put into this trading account. Let you guys invest it from the breakout watch list. I'll pick 4 stocks that you guys can choose from on the Twitter poll. And here's how that played out this week. Over 50% of you voted for Fubo, which was down 8.1% from the time we bought it on Monday, market open on Monday, to the time we sold it within 10 minutes of the close on Friday. The next one you guys chose was LAC. That was down 11.3%. AMTX 8.7 and positive, which I did trade for a loss. So we'll be going over how I did that later. And PLL up 1.3%. That was another one that gapped up on Tuesday. So when the market opened, we got a kind of bad fill and only got 1.3% out of it. So right now in the account is $110.27. At the end of the year, if this account outperforms myself on a weekly compounding basis, I'm giving it away for anyone who leaves their TikTok or Twitter handle in the comments of that initial TikTok video that I'll be posting up here right now. But not going to dive into any of these charts except for AMTX later because I personally traded that. Now to Sunday's watch list. So every Sunday morning, I post a breakout watch list, and we were on a very, very hot streak up until this week. But again, 100% transparency always with my channel. This was a bad week for the growth stocks that we were looking for. And a lot of the names that I put on were kind of renewable energy or EVs, and those got hit the hardest. So an average return from the list of 15 that we had was minus 3.6%. You can see that is worse than the market during that time, about 2% worse than the Qs and 3% worse than IBD top 50. Some big winners was ATLC up 14.5%, AMTX we'll get to 11.1, PLL up 5.3. But really, it was the losses that we should be focusing on right now. ABML, that was that stock that was under $5 that was setting up really well. Now, I never bought it because it never went over the buy point that I covered in the video. So that's why it's important to buy on the way out when you have momentum in the name already, not just blindly into the pullbacks. But that was a name that I was hesitant to put on the list because it was under $5 and did not perform well, down 17% on the week. CSIQ, that was the Canada Solar. Solar got hit hard this week, down 13%. And JKS, I was hesitant to put that on as well because that was just that really long base that was just starting to form up. And why, like I asked myself, why has this been basing out for so long when other renewable energy, other solar has been taking off since middle of December? So it's those kind of clues that made that one maybe one that I shouldn't have put on the list. But if it does come out, it's coming out of a very long base, and that could go from there. But bad Sunday watch list, down 3.6%. Now to the midweek movers, do a live stream every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central where we cover a shortened, like refreshed watch list and then cover the stocks that you guys want to see in the comments. So make sure you tune in on Wednesday nights for that. This one, not much going on. Average gain loss, 1.8%. I did take this LE trade, so we'll cover that in a little bit. Penn was a good one, up 2.3%, but really, again, losses here. MNSO down 11.5%. Fubo down 6.5%. Still maybe one to watch, but could firm up from here. Maybe on the watch list tomorrow. We'll see after I do some research. And then FRSX down 5%. All right, so now we're going to the current holdings. So this is my current portfolio. You can see I'm 29.2% net long invested. Not much going on right now. I'm trying to keep a smaller account while the market's trading sideways or down. It's important to know when to push on the gas. From December 15th to basically like end of January, that was the time to really hit hard. High tight flags were breaking out. We were getting basically sector rotation where we were seeing 50, 100% moves in names. And that was really the time that I pressed. So right now, while things are shaky, I'm playing defense, not trying to do too much. And you can see my largest holding right now is 11% of my portfolio in SQQQ. That's a hedge for all the positions that I'm putting on. So I counted that as a short position, even though it's a long, but it's a triple inverse. All right, so here's the breakdown of percent of my portfolio. We'll be covering each of these names, why I got in them, and some of the past trades. But really wanted to highlight here, build exposure when you're profitable only. You don't want to be adding to a losing trade because it keeps pulling back, and you're using your money to kind of bring your average cost down. But if there's no other buyers coming in, you could just be adding to a loser. Instead, the opportunity cost, take that money that you would have added to a losing trade, and what's holding up the best? What has the best relative strength? Because whatever has the best relative strength, when the market comes back, that's going to be the first one to shoot up much higher. So I never add to a losing trade. Flip side, I'd rather trim a trade as it's working against me and add to a winning trade. So let's cover the current holdings and then some past trades using stockcharts.com. All right, current positions. And we'll just be going in alphabetical order so I could click through this. So first we have ACIC. And this is, I don't know, the third time that I've been using stockcharts.com. So still trying to get used to the format and making sure I highlight everything that you guys want to see. So if I'm doing something that you don't like or something that I could be doing better, leave those in the comments. So first one, this is up 50, basically 55%, had good volume on the way out and bought on this day on February 17th when the stock opened up higher, pulled back under the high from, what day is that, the 7th or so, and then rally back over that point. So that was my buy point after it pulled back, shook out some traders, and then rally back over there. I did take about 25% of the trade off at 1774 in this nice upper wick, and now I have my stop at my entry point. So basically no initial capital risk on the trade. And that's how I can increase exposure in the number of positions that I'm holding without actually increasing the risk that I have. And that's really important while the market's shaky. You don't want to be increasing your exposure without that profit. This is one of the trades that LAZR put on as well. Next, we have ALDX. This was a really kind of funky trade, but bought at 1203 on this green, I don't know, yeah, you can see it, on this green circle here. Had a move up 127%, pullback of 26%. And then as this was pulling back, it had two lows right at the same price. And then we had this really nice shakeout day. And I wanted to highlight that because when you have kind of the lows at the same price for a couple days, people might be buying at that point and using that as a stop loss. The fact that we had that nice flush means that everyone who had stops up until this point got shaken out. It clears the deck, and then when the trade starts working in people's favor, now they need to come back and bid that up even higher. So had that really nice shakeout, set up the trade, and then I used kind of this 2-day pivot through here to buy the stock at 1203. I sold some on the way back here just to have a little bit of profit. Where is it? Yeah, sold 1237, a little bit of profit on there. Slightly higher volume on the selling bar. So with that and the market being shaky, I wanted to book some profit on the name. Then basically we had the turn right after that, got out on much higher volume, sold a little bit more into that upper wick, upper bar at 1403, and now I've moved my stop to my entry, again taking out that initial capital risk. So that was ALDX. Next we have AMRS, and this has been a pretty big winner for me. This is one I think that Leif traded as well. Had a move of 400%, pulled back 26%, and then again we had just a mini shakeout this time, not as long. Not a long lower wick as we saw before, but we pulled back to this 20-day moving average, basically within the high type flag standards, which you really like to see. Volume really got light. Everyone was kind of agreeing on the price. If I pull this down, you can see average true range ATR. That measures the daily bars, how big and small they are. That was getting tight, so figured there would be a good trade to put on somewhere in here. So waited to break out over this kind of point through here, this blue line, bought on February 3rd, 1053, and just kind of took partial off all the way up through here. All the red circles are sells. And then when we pulled back, we did so on very, very light volume. So this was one of the stocks that was holding up relatively well, got out on heavy volume, pulled back on light volume, something that I wanted to add to if we saw if we saw a bounce at the 8-day and one with volume. And that's exactly what we saw on Friday. So I added back at 14.49 on Friday. And with this, I have a stop at my entry for the 68 shares that I bought on Friday at 14.49, and then the stop on the remaining part at the low, I think it's like 13 something. Forgot to mention it here. But again, I put risk on. If it's starting to work for me, I haven't taken any profit on the additional part on Friday because with this kind of volume and this move on Friday after the market's been beat down a little bit, I want to hold on to that name, but I'm taking the risk out of the situation. So that's AMRS, really working well on Friday for me. Next, we have BNGO. This has been, I tried to get too fancy with this trade, and it kind of bit me in the butt. This is one really strong move out from $1 to like $12. So something that I wanted to be a part of after it flagged out a little bit. And we got that opportunity. I did something that I don't usually do, and that's just buy during a pullback without buyers stepping in, without moving over a previous day's high, anything like that. And I got stopped half of that entry, down 5%. See, dumb, me being dumb. After that, the stock actually turned, broke over the previous day's high, so I added on that upper wick, got stopped out of that addition as it squatted down 5%. So now I'm over trading this name, right? Making all the mistakes. And then finally, we got that another turn, but this time on volume. And if I scroll down here, you can see ATR getting tighter and tighter. Finally, we got the turn on the 12th with tons of volume, bought that coming out, breaking over the previous day's high. And since then, have taken two scales out, one on the same day in that upper wick, the next kind of as it was moving out midday. And now I've had my stop at my entry. So a lot of things to learn from here. Don't just buy during a pullback. I was trying to get fancy with this because this was a name that was really powerful that I wanted to be in, but it never really presented an entry until we got the one on the 11th that ended up squatting, and then the real breakout on the 12th. So basically, shouldn't have bought the 170 shares. Should have been stopped out of the one on the 11th. That would have been fine. You're going to take losses in trading, but as long as they're smart losses with good risk. So now I think I'm profitable on the name, but it's going to take a dent in the profit because I made those mistakes early on. And again, that's what this channel is supposed to be about. I'm going to be sharing my winners, but really highlighting my losses as well, because that's what I'm going to be learning from myself, and that's what you guys can learn from as well. So next we have CDMO. Not much going on here. Bought this on Friday, 130% up, only 11% back. Had a good volume trigger on Friday as we moved over kind of this pivot through here. So bought it 1847. Since then, it's squatted. My stop's at the low of the day, 1747. We'll see how that works out. Might get stopped out of that. CDMO. CMRX bought 200 shares at 969. So we had 135% up, 25% back, 22% back. So high type flag. And then kind of this 4-day pivot point. So 1, 2, 3, and then we got out on the 4th day. I used the high from that range as my buy point, 969. As it got out, I sold a little bit on this day at 1037 just to book some profit. Came back and stopped half the trade out at even, and it got actually some slippage on that. So it went from 969 to 953. So got out half there. Since then, it's bounced up, pulled back again, starting to tighten up. My stop's at my entry on this one, so it's not going to be a big loss, even if it just pulls back. Unless it gaps down, you can't really protect against that. Hopefully, it just continues higher, and I have basically a half-size position on the name. But again, trading defensively by trying to get out half at even, a little slippage on that, and taking some profit on the way up. CMRX. Next, we have EGHT. This is one that Leif traded, put on Friday. We had 123% up, 13% back. Really tight action through here. If I pull down, you see ATR tightening up. We do have this large selling volume bar, so that scared me away a little bit. But once we made the turn, that's why I didn't buy with a break over that that bar's high, but over these two kind of daily highs through here. So got in, excuse me, got in 36.95, and I did split my stop loss because it because there's that large red selling day, and because I was buying so kind of extended on the day. I just want to split my stop in half. So if this trade starts working against me, instead of doubling down, I'm scaling out half. And that way I can keep my losses really small, keep exposure on right now in case the market just rips come Monday. But again, keeping that risk intact. So that's EGHT. Next, we have LE. This is one from the midweek movers watch list that I put on Thursday. We had 90% up, 16% back, high type flag. You can see my note here. I bought the stock on this day as we undercut the previous low, then took out the previous day's high. That's one of the setups that I'll take if we're not breaking over kind of the actual pivot high, which would have been the previous, this red candle day's high. From there, we got higher highs, higher lows on Friday. Sorry, meant to show how much the average true range ATR is coming in. So everything's tightening up. We had this really nice shakeout after the pullback, and then that rallied. And the one pullback, the day that I bought it, pulled back to the 20-day, bounced right at that. So right now, my stop is the same stop that I had going in at 30.02. It's LE. Next, we have PACB. This one, basically 200% move up, 30% move back. Had a nice shakeout day that quickly got bought up. And then things got nice and tight through here. Zooming down. ATR tightening up, something that I look for. And then I bought on this turn as we broke over the previous day's high. And I think, let's see, 36.92. That might have been over this red candle's high. Not exactly sure. But we got higher highs, higher lows the next day. Sold some into strength there. Sold a little bit more the next day. And then we got that explosion higher gap up. Sold 30% of the position there. And since then, it's pulled back, and I stopped out a little bit more, 7% of the trade on this lower wick. And then the rest of my stops at 40.91, which is $5 above my entry point. So this is going to be a winning trade regardless. Ideally, I wouldn't have taken these two scales, but at the time, I wanted to book a little bit of profit. Market was still shaky. My P&L was worsening, so defensive trading there during really strong market time where I'm just crushing new account highs. I wouldn't have taken these two profit, 25% of the position there. I would have waited for a stronger move, but you never know when this type of move with this volume is going to happen. So defensive trading. Next, we have SKLZ. This one bought 100 shares. Where is it? On this turn right here, we had 154% move up. This is one that I've traded before. I think it was on this candle when ARK bought it. But in this current trade that I'm in, pulled back here, made the turn on a ton of volume coming out. Well, sorry, let me back up. Good volume on this day to really test the pivot high. Broke down right at that point, and then had this red candle on the lightest volume in the entire sequence. So when that happens, no one's disagreeing on the price. Everyone's like, all right, we're right on the 8-day exponential moving average. The next day, we set higher highs, higher lows with an uptick in volume, and then my eyes right on that pivot point. So the highs of these this red day and this black day here. So when we broke that on February 3rd, that's when I put the trade on. 100 shares, and then got lucky that they had an announcement the next day. That gapped up, sold 25% there, another 25% into the upper wick on the follow through day, and then I did get stopped out. I put my stop at the low of this day, got stopped out full with 50 shares, but then I added 20 shares back on Friday just because it set I basically wanted to get back in the name with a little bit of exposure. Did want to take some off because I mean this kind of selling from 46 down to 36, that's notable. but it did so on lighter volume, and it did so while growth names were shaking out. So right now I put the stop for those 20 shares at 30.40. SKLZ, SQQQ, that's just the hedge, so not going to really focus on that. And then last open position I have is TMDX, 143% up, 23% back. And then this had a midday shakeout, so it actually got up around 35 before breaking over these highs, or breaking over the previous day high. And then it flushed all the way down to 32 and ran back up to 35. So I bought as it broke, basically as it was trying to break 35, 34.99. My stops on this is just a 5% stop there. So those are all the positions that I'm holding over the weekend. Let's go to some past trades where I now can really break down what I did right, what I did wrong, because these are all in the book. And with a losing week, we have some good lessons to learn from here. Not going to spend too much time on this one. This is ACTC, 197% up, 30% back. Everything got nice and tight. Made higher highs, higher lows the day that I bought. Then we gapped up a little bit, only like 3% or so. And this was just a trade that I didn't have a ton of conviction on. It started pulling back on me. So I just cut it, basically break even, up less than a percent, $14. And I'll I'll do this. I like to move my stops to entry pretty quickly during when the market's weak or when growth stocks are weak. So got a free look at the trade in case it gapped up and then just ripped through to new highs. But in this case, pulled back a little bit, stopped me at even, and then you see it did continue down lower. So it's ACTC. AEYE, this is one of my larger losses of the week, down 6.7%, about $100. So wasn't a full size position by any means, very much a test size trade. And we had 101% up, 16% back. And then on this red candle is where I both bought and sold. And it was a bearish engulfing candle where the highs are higher than the previous day, lows are lower than the previous day's lows, and a lot of volume selling on that. I'm glad I got out. We did have a inside day on Friday, so maybe this works its way out. Kind of tested that 8-day, buyer stepped in, and now a break over Thursday's highs possible buy point. But when you see a candle like this, I'm glad I got out. But this was one that I either had some slippage on this or I misplaced my stop, because typically this quick into a flag, I would want to just put a 5% stop, either be right away or wrong for small. And 6.7% is a little bit more of a loss than I should have taken on this. Next, we get to AMTX. This is the one that was on the breakout watch list and on the Tik Tok Trading Challenge. 2 trades here, both of them losers. Haven't figured out. I traded this really well in 2020. Haven't figured this out in 2021 yet. Had this nice gap up, 140%, pull back 45%. And that should have been kind of a note to me to not take the trades early on in this base. You see this black circle here is the day that I bought and sold on the same day. As buying as we were testing the previous day's high. Should have waited for a volume trigger to buy on that, where we had higher relative volume. Didn't get that, so sold off for about 5% loss there. And then Tuesday gapped up and ran, pulled back through there and pulled back on very low volume, gapped up and moved on higher volume. So something that I wanted to be a part of if we made higher highs, which we did on Friday. I got in, and then you see this lower wick was 5%, so that stopped me out. Within 3 cents of my stop was the low of the day, and sometimes that happens. Can't control that, but I'll be keeping an eye on this. Maybe we can work our way back over this high, and that's a buy point. But kind of two losses. First one, shouldn't have taken the trade at all, and that was a larger loss, $190. Can't do that again. Second one, that's fine that I put on the trade. Sucks that I got stopped out with 3 cents to the low of the day, but I mean, that's going to happen. AMTX. Blink. This is one. I was up 5.7%, $136 on the trade. This is one that I traded a couple times through here and here, but this current trade got out on heavy volume, pulled back on very low volume, and I added on this longer, lower wick here. So pulled back, we undercut the low, and then after it rallied back up and recaptured the previous day's low, that's when I bought 47.89. Had some good days into strength, sold. Um, what is that? 15 out of 50, so 30% of the trade in profit, and then cut the rest right at break even because I moved my stop to even after this. And I didn't take more profit earlier on in this pullback because it was pulling back on such a lighter volume compared to the up day. But didn't want to make a winning trade go to a losing trade. So 5.7% because I took some profit on the way up, protected my entry. Next, we have CrowdStrike, CRWD. This was only a 2.2% win, 40 bucks, whatever. 101% up, 19% back, so high type flag. Nice shakeout day there. Had a kind of 6-day pivot through here. Bought as we actually pulled back, tested the 20-day, bounced right at that, and then took out the highs of these red candles. That's when I bought. Sold 25% into this gap up that was selling off on Tuesday, and then sold the rest at break even, basically. And this one, just wanted to point out, high selling volume here, so that's why I was being a little bit quicker with moving my stop to my entry, taking some profit, even though it was only up, I don't know, 10% or so. It's CrowdStrike. DOMO. This one down 1.6%. So again, this is me trading defensively, keeping my losses very small. So when I do get some big winners, one big winner can pay for 5 losing trades. And that's how you can keep your win-loss rate at 50-50 and still be a profitable trader overall. 120% up, 20% back. Had this kind of 2-day, 3-day pivot that I was buying out of there. Sold some into weakness coming back, but in profit. Cut half at my entry and then half at the rest of the stop at my initial stop. So not much to say here. Down 1.6% on the trade. Defensive trading strategy. Man, LAZR can't figure out this one. Can't get this one to work. Every time I buy, get stopped out. I've had 3 trades. Second one was slightly profitable, 1.5%, but all small and manageable. So 5.3% loss, 1.5% gain, 3.1% loss. Not going to spend too much time on this. Obviously, this is really shaking out all the breakout traders. Next, we have NIO. This is one that had that 60% move up, 19% move back. And then during the first pullback, this is where I drew this blue line. During the second pullback, we shook out. We undercut that low. So nice shakeout. I wish one of these days was like a really low shakeout to like the 50-day. That would have been awesome. But bought as we made the turn here, sold some into strength, and then cut the rest. I cut half at break even, half at my initial loss. So again, only 1.25% down on the trade, lost 52 bucks. NNDM, this is one that I tried with very large size because it was a name that I've been trying to get into, and I used an extremely tight stop. So I used a 2% stop, 192% up, 27% back, pulled back through here, and then was making higher highs, higher lows on the day. So I bought in with a break over the previous day's high and then used the low of the day as my stop. So 2%. I put maybe 15% position size on this and then just got stopped out. So when you can get a really small stop on the name, it'll either work or it doesn't. Then I'm more likely to put larger position size on. And it didn't work. We had lower lows. Next day, kind of higher highs, higher lows, but really got rejected at that 8-day again. So this might need more time to set up, but glad I took it for a 2% loss. OEG, down 5% on this trade, had a 900% move up. Good volume on the extension, really quiet volume on the way back. This was on the breakout watch list as well. Had this nice shakeout. Bought as we were coming over these. We had 3 daily highs right around the same price. So got in at 969 and had some decent extension, but then it pulled back during the day and stopped me out for 5%. And good thing I did get stopped out at 5 because we had even worse pullback to $8 from the 969 that I bought at. So down $100 on the name, 5% loss. I could handle 5%. PLL, I just cut this trade even, 161% up, 26% back to this blue line. Had a nice shakeout there. Pulled back, shakeout on the name, so we undercut the previous day's low, and then I bought basically at the high of the day of this day. Had continuation the next day, but then pulled back, and I just cut this one at even. STIM, this is the one that I wanted to talk about the most, down 11%. This is Nick making a lot of dumb mistakes and really costing myself. You see down $325 on the trade. So really wanted to highlight this one. 161% up, 34% back. Really good volume on the way out, really quiet volume on the way back. So something that I wanted to be a part of. Bought on this turn, breaking over the previous day's high as we were running up the 20-day moving average that was holding support. So bought at 18.10, added to the trade. I was trying to add with a break over the previous day's high because this was such a powerful setup. The volume was doing all the right things. But I got a terrible fill, so one strike against that, just a bad fill, got me right at this upper wick. It immediately reversed, and I either must have not put the stop at the right place or not placed a stop on my additional shares, because it wasn't until the next day where I noticed I didn't get stopped out when it pulled all the way back to $19 after getting an entry at 20.30. So I had just used my initial stop for the entire position, including the addition, and that was terrible. I don't want to have losses over 7%, and in this case, 11% stop on a relatively large position size, down $325, should not happen. Lesson learned there. So time, just a 5% loss on this one, 103% up, 13% back. Had this lower pivot that I could have bought on, but waited for a break over this day's high. Got a little bit of an extension through there, but really I shouldn't have taken this trade in general because of these two large volume sell-off bars. That's scary. Should have taken this maybe with even smaller size at least if I was going to. And basically the next day it just reversed, stopped me out at 5%. UAVS, this was the big winner. Traded this a couple times in this cup and handle. This breakout sold, made really good money in this move. Then it pulled back, tried to add on this lower pivot through here, got stopped out the next day. The day after that, started again, added to it with some continuation and on higher volume. Sold some into strength that same day, sold some into continuation, got stopped out at a little bit. I moved partial stop up really high just to say, hey, if this is going to just dump, I want to get out. Just continued selling into strength basically. And then this is one that Leif said, because EH was getting destroyed, down 62%. This is also in that same sector, in the drone sector. Just sold it for a 21% profit overall, up $650 on the move. And good thing, because the next day or 2 days later, it dumped 40-something%. So this is where if you could get good size on a big winning position, you make $650. We just covered a bunch of my 5% losses that were like $100, $80, $120. This one trade pays for all those losses. All right, those are all the trades that I wanted to talk about. Let me know in the description, did you like this new setup, really breaking down all the past trades, current positions, not really going over the watch lists as much? Yeah, let me know. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, tune in tomorrow for the breakout watch list for the upcoming week, and follow me on StockTwits, Twitter, and TikTok. Take care.